So tonight, I mean, what would it be without Power Bourbon reviewing a barrel product? I wouldn't know. But this was provided to us by the great Ed Sturger, of course, and he's probably wondering what took so dang
Our
long.
favorite
Well,
Ed tonight.
this is a single barrel, so it's one of the private releases. Uh, um, Bourbon World 2021. Interesting. I want to go to Bourbon World. How about you, Chuck?
Sounds fancy. I do.
Yeah.
Sounds like the World Cup, just better.
Ooh. World Cup's coming up. I'm pretty excited. Um,
Cutter.
Mm-hmm. This is a whiskey finished in Tokai barrels.
Oh, good job on the pronunciation.
I know. I practiced.
Boy, yeah.
124.64 proof, and it's blend number AJ10. So that's all we know, I do believe, unless the
Good
back of
old
the bottle.
AJ10.
It is Indiana and Kentucky whiskey. So I'm excited.
Ooh, my Lord.
Yeah, very nice nose. Apples.
That nose is amazing. So let's explain the finishing barrel here. This is a sweet wine from Hungary. Yep, specifically the Tokai region of Hungary, spelled Tokaji. So you might hear some Americans call it Tokaji.
Yeah, and people wonder why I have trouble with English.
Yeah,
that's the reason.
That's Hungarian, not English. So there you go.
If it's written in English.
Yeah, so you get a little bit of that fruit note, apple, but then it's like this layered, like a rich butterscotch oak to me.
Yeah, it's a really good nose. There is some ethanol on the nose. I'm getting that.
I mean, it's 126 proof. What do you want?
I'm just saying.
If you want to,
just letting the people know.
Go drink your Basil Hayden's if that's what you want.
So yeah, I mean, is it a pleasant nose? It's it's not
a
quite
little bit of like
Irish.
A clove spice.
Yeah, it's not quite Irish whiskey. In the fruit section.
Oh yeah.
So
I gotcha.
Because you get all that really predominant fruit. It's back in there. But yeah, no, it's a very pleasant nose. You're gonna smell it and you're like, oh, this is different.
Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
The front of that palate almost reminds me of the Barrel Armida. It just got a apricot note to me on the front side.
Yeah. And then on the end of the palate, it is like honey graham cracker.
Yes. That's a perfect description. I seldom agree with you.
I know.
That vehemently.
And then you get oak on the finish. Like it just goes honey graham cracker, dry oak. And you're just like, yeah. I
mean, that's lovely. So I have just a couple. I've steered away. You know, I'm obviously a barrel fan. I only have a couple. I have a rum finished of the whiskey single barrels, and I have a Armagnac finish also, and then just an 18-year whiskey. This might be I like that Armagnac finish. It drinks hot too, but this might be my favorite of the ones that I've had out of the whiskey series. We're advocates of Bourbon Pursuit. If you haven't listened to us previously, but they have a lot of good information. They met with or did an interview with Barrell a few episodes ago, maybe a month or two ago. In that interview, that Barrell talks about how they use some of these private releases, not just the whiskey on the whiskey side, to kind of hone what they do, both on the finishing barrel side, and then also just in the blending. And so they kind of use this as their testing grounds, things that they'll do once, maybe do in smaller batches that aren't meant, they're not going to necessarily release this in its entirety on a larger scale like they do for their Vantage, Seagrass, Armida. Yeah. But this is their proving ground. So some of these characteristics or some of the things that they learn end up showing up down the road. So that's kind of cool.
always caveat anything we do with barrel. Yes, it's expensive. But as bourbon prices go up and they
I was
keep
gonna
their
say
prices,
expensive on what grounds?
I'm thinking back like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago when we
You're
started
gonna
this.
pay
And
$80. Yeah, true.
yeah,
But $80 for 6 year or 5 year MGP anymore. So it's
yeah.
just it's a
And
different game.
yeah. And at that price, why not pay a little bit more and go with these guys that know, like, if you want to talk the leading people that are doing blending, it's Barrel. If you want to talk the leading people that are doing finished products, it is Bardstown. Like, they have some of the best. But I tell you what, Barrel is starting to catch him. And they're doing way more unique stuff at half the price.
That's
So
the,
you can try way more of these finished stuff. And I think I haven't found a barrel product that I'm like, I'm sad I bought that. So
yeah,
I'm just
I
saying.
think that's the best statement, honestly. And in today's bourbon market, there's a lot of other brands that I can't say that for.
Yeah.
Whether I paid $60 or whether I paid $160, there's times where I'm just like, I'm sad I bought that.
Yeah.
Don't have anything from Barrel that's true.
And to be,
This
I would
is,
say,
oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, and to be fair, they really hit our wheelhouse because I mean the reason we do the bourbon channel, the reason we have an excessive amount of bottles behind us is we like exploring and trying new things. So if you're the type of person that you have your flavor profile nailed down and you don't want to branch outside that, stay away from barrel. I'm not gonna lie to you, it's gonna like mess with you. But if you like finding new stuff, if you're the type of person you like to go to fancy restaurants or new restaurants, try something you haven't ever tried, that's barrel for you. Like, always be exploring. Done.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if your bourbon collection is more than 10 bottles and you don't have a barrel on the shelf, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'd start with batch 33 and Vantage, but I'd give these whiskeys a try. And I might, a nice recommendation is to also like go to your local liquor store, wine shop, whatever. Also buy whatever the finishing barrel is. So if it's a rum barrel, buy a rum. Not all of us drink rum since the days of college, or if we're not sitting on a beach in a Mai Tai, buy a rum. Buy, if it's finished in an Armagnac, buy an Armagnac. Taste that spirit as well alongside the bourbon, so you can understand maybe what those characteristics are imparting from that finishing barrel onto the whiskey. That's a really nice way to experience this, because a lot of us like, hey, we haven't had Tokai like as a sweet wine. We might have had Moscato that our wife gave us. You know, we don't really know what this is.
Yeah.
But yeah, go out there. It's different. So taste it, understand what that finishing barrel is invoking on the whiskey, and then taste your whiskey and really enjoy it.
Yeah. And if you're having a party hosting people, not everybody's a bourbon drinker, but they might be a drinker of another type of spirit. They might like rum, they might like something else. And so if you have something like this, you can be like, hey, you like rum? Try this. It's going to like bring some of those rum flavors and the bourbon flavors and meld them together. And you might make a friend. That could be good. I mean, we made a friend with Brian and we regret that decision, but you know, we did. But you could make a real friend that also brings other things over, and then you can share, and it would be wonderful.
Like how you say real friend, like Brian was imaginary.
He is in here tonight.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. Recently, I took a series of 4 bottles to a group meetup, and one of them was the barrel whiskey finished in rum, and that was the crowd pleaser. And some of that is also because it strips away some of the raw. It softens some of those high proof bourbon notes, and so it makes it a little bit more palatable to the non bourbon enthusiast. But it also, for those of us that are bourbon enthusiasts, gives you something different, unique, something that you don't always go to. You know, I'm probably still going to reach for batch 33 most of the time, but really appreciate what the barrel finishes bring. And honestly, this one is delightful. The other thing that barrel does on finishes, it's one of the, maybe I joke about it often, like I'm going to come up with my, Chuck's 5 key steps in introducing a bourbon brand. One is like source young MGP, charge $80. Number 2 is come out with a toasted. Number 3 is also then come out with some kind of barrel finishing, whether it's Madeira, port. And that is what we joke about. And often it's used to maybe make younger whiskey more palatable. Maybe it's used to some of it's used to diversify the portfolio, which is obviously good. But what Barrell does is it starts with really good whiskey or bourbon. And that's also what Bardstown does. And so that's what I appreciate about both of those companies is I think the whiskey or bourbon, before they put it in that barrel, would be marketable as itself, would be excellent. And then they finish it, which elevates it even further. It takes it to a different level, gives it different taste profiles. And that's where it takes it beyond where it's, we're not using it to cover up bad tasting notes on a bourbon or a whiskey. Like this is a good aged whiskey that is going into these finishing barrels, which I think to me is a key. And TJ, your wife says it well. What makes a good cocktail? Good bourbon.
Yep.
What makes a good finished barrel? Good whiskey.
Bourbon. Yep.
Or whiskey. Yeah. Bourbon or whiskey. Whatever's going into that barrel's got to be good.
Mm-hmm.
And that's you got to have a good foundation. And Barrell does. And this one with the Tokai is a delightful blend of this orchard fruit with some spice, drying oak on the finish. This is really delightful.
Yep. So there you have it. Branch out, explore, have fun, try something new. And a great brand to do that with is Barrell. So, I mean, when we find a bad one, you better believe we're going to review it and say it's bad. But until that day, we're going to keep reviewing good ones. Cheers.
Stay neat.